The night before New Year's Eve had a way of exposing what the rest of the year tried to hide, and for Maria Thompson it exposed hunger, pride, and a loneliness so heavy it felt like it could bend the air around her as she pushed open the fogged glass door of a small 24-hour diner with exactly $3 folded twice in her coat pocket, the kind of place where the lights hum tiredly and the smell of old coffee clung to your clothes. And before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that happen when no one is watching, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this are built on the belief that someone out there still cares. Maria slid into the last booth near the window, her breath leaving a faint cloud on the glass as snow drifted down outside, each flake reminding her that another year was ending without mercy, without applause, without anyone noticing that she had tried so hard to survive. She ordered the cheapest thing she could find, a plain bowl of soup, knowing it would barely cover the ache in her stomach but hoping it might warm her enough to get through the night, because pride had taught her to smile through empty cupboards and to say she was fine even when she had not been fine for a very long time. The past year had taken everything from her in small, cruel steps. First the job at the laundromat when the owner sold the building, then the apartment she could no longer afford, then the phone calls from friends that slowly stopped coming when she could not keep pretending she was okay, and yet she kept going, walking miles in worn shoes, cleaning where she could, applying everywhere, telling herself that tomorrow might finally be the day things turned around, even as the world kept proving her wrong. As she waited for the soup, Maria stared at the cracked vinyl seat across from her and wondered how it felt to sit there with someone who cared, someone who noticed when you were tired, someone who might look at you and see more than a woman counting coins, and that thought hurt more than hunger ever could. The bell over the diner door rang again, sharp and sudden, and in walked Daniel Carter, a single father whose shoulders carried the quiet exhaustion of a man who had learned to put everyone else first, his jacket dusted with snow, his eyes scanning the room not for comfort but for a place to rest for a moment before heading back to a small apartment where his sleeping daughter waited, unaware that her father was holding his life together with patience and love alone. Daniel had not planned to stop. He had been driving back from a late shift at the warehouse, thinking about how he would stretch his paycheck to cover rent, daycare, and the small pink backpack his daughter wanted for school, but something about the cold, about the way the year was ending, made him pull over and step inside, as if he needed to remind himself that he was still human. He ordered coffee, then noticed Maria, the way she hunched over the table as if trying to disappear, the way her hands wrapped around the bowl as though it were the only warm thing left in her life, and in that quiet moment he recognized something painfully familiar, the look of someone who had been strong for too long without anyone noticing. Daniel sat a few booths away, pretending not to stare, telling himself it was none of his business, that he had his own struggles, his own child depending on him, and yet something inside him refused to stay silent, because he remembered the nights he had gone without dinner so his daughter could eat, the way kindness from a stranger once kept him from giving up entirely, and how that single act had carried him through months of doubt. The diner felt smaller as minutes passed, the ticking clock above the counter sounding louder with each second, and Maria felt the familiar embarrassment creep in when she realized the soup was almost gone and the hunger was still there, her eyes lowering as the waitress came by, knowing she could not afford anything else and dreading the moment she would have to leave and face the cold again. Daniel watched as Maria reached into her pocket, unfolding the $3 with careful fingers, placing them on the table as if they were fragile, and something broke open inside him, not loudly, not dramatically, but in a way that felt final, as if the universe itself was asking him a question he could not ignore. He stood, walked to the counter, and did something that seemed small to anyone else but meant everything to the woman in the corner booth, because sometimes the biggest changes come wrapped in the simplest actions, and when he returned to his seat, Maria noticed the waitress bringing her a full meal she had not ordered, confusion mixing with fear as she wondered what mistake had been made, her heart racing at the thought of being told she could not have it. The waitress only smiled, setting down fresh bread, a warm plate, and a glass of water, and walked away, leaving Maria staring at the table as if it might vanish if she blinked. Across the room, Daniel kept his eyes on his coffee, not wanting recognition, not wanting thanks, just hoping that for one night, someone else could breathe a little easier. As Maria slowly realized what had happened, tears welled in her eyes, not loud or dramatic, but heavy, the kind that carry months of fear and silent prayers, and she ate not just with her stomach but with her heart, feeling warmth spread through her in a way she had forgotten was possible. Outside, the snow continued to fall, but inside the diner something shifted, something unseen but powerful, as if hope itself had taken a seat at the table. Daniel finished his coffee, paid his bill, and stood to leave, his phone buzzing with a message from the babysitter reminding him of the time, and as he passed Maria's booth, their eyes met for a brief second, enough for her to see kindness without pity, enough for him to see gratitude without obligation, and in that glance a promise seemed to form, that neither of them was as alone as they had believed. The night carried on, the diner returned to its quiet hum, but Maria sat there long after her plate was empty, holding on to the warmth, replaying the moment again and again, feeling something she had not felt in a year, the belief that tomorrow might actually be different. Daniel drove home through the snow, thinking about his daughter's smile, about the year ending not with fireworks but with something better, the knowledge that he had chosen kindness even when it was inconvenient, and that choice made the weight on his shoulders feel a little lighter. Days later, Maria would find work cleaning offices in the early mornings, then something steadier, then a small room she could finally call her own, and she would think back to that diner, to the stranger who reminded her she was worth seeing, while Daniel would continue raising his daughter, teaching her through actions what it meant to care for others, never knowing how far that single moment had traveled. And now, before this story ends, if it touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, share it, and subscribe, because your support helps stories of compassion reach people who need them most. And we also ask you to comment just below and tell us what this story made you feel or who it reminded you of, because your words matter more than you know. As the year turned and the world counted down in bright lights and loud celebrations, two ordinary lives carried a quiet miracle forward, proving that sometimes all it takes to change everything is one person choosing to see another, and that choice can echo far beyond a single night, into a future filled with warmth, dignity, and hope.